though my eyes cannot see God's might and majesty. Faith fills up this need, and my heart does believe.
So good. So solid.
Welcome,
it's been a little
everyone.
bit
As
good as
since
it can
we
be.
podcasted.
A little over a month.
Has it been a month?
It's been a while. It's
Been a while?
enough time. to
Yeah,
wait.
but there's been a lot happening in between that amount of time, so.
I cannot. It's like the fastest, slowest month ever right now. Time is moving so fast, but so slow.
I guess
That's
so.
January.
I don't know where March went when I look at it. So,
Yeah.
like, it was just March 1st, and now it's past April 1st. I don't know.
We're almost like we're almost to the halfway point of April. But
April
like,
Fool's on me, for sure.
yeah, it was funny. I was sitting in the youth office, and I'm like, wait a minute. When did April happen? What? No.
Yeah.
It was just.
I mean, the funny part is, like, I wake up earlier than everyone else does, and my little brothers, and so, like, I have the perfect opportunity to prank them, but, like, didn't even cross my mind. It really should have. I'm too nice.
Yeah, I've actually never done April Fool's stuff. I don't really like April Fool's. I think it's kind of annoying. I'm like,
It's just.
I don't got time for this.
It's just pranks,
I know it's just pranks, but I'm like, I don't know.
right?
Talk about time. I'm like, I got stuff to do.
It's Lent. I don't know. There's that aura of seriousness, you know?
Yeah,
Something
I
like
think
that.
for Catholics, because April Fool's is always during Lent, right? It's like always
Never
in
thought
Lent.
about it that way, but yes.
It's just like, it's a little too serious time for us right now.
Yeah, I'm busy fasting.
Yep. I'm busy fasting.
I'm having a hard time right now.
Well, you're not fasting anymore, right?
No, just training. I just eat what I need to.
Yeah.
That's
Same here.
That's where I'm
I
at.
just don't gain weight.
Yeah. I'm actually in the middle of a weight loss journey,
Nice.
which is cool. I'm kind of for my wedding trying to like slow
Oh.
down a little bit.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's worked. I've lost 10 pounds.
I've
Nice.
lost 20
So
pounds
that's
in 2
cool.
years.
Holy macaronis. But
Yeah.
you're also a guy.
It's not ideal.
I look at bread and I gain like 30 pounds. It's annoying.
I look at bread and I crap my pants.
I look at chocolate chip cookies and I gain 10 pounds. That's my weakness.
Yeah, but you can like run it off in like one day.
Yeah, you really do that though.
True.
How many calories do you burn with running?
In 2 hours, I'll burn like 2,000.
That's bananas.
Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah,
Oh.
it doesn't make me feel excited about anything.
About running? No.
Yeah, no, it makes it sound hard.
I actually did start running on a treadmill. Fun
Nice.
Wow. Hey, join the club.
fact. I'm not like you at all. I don't have the stamina.
You mean you don't actually enjoy it? Or
No,
do you
I hate
enjoy
it. I
You know
really-
what? The treadmill was invented as a form of torture in prison. It was like this turning wheel,
Are
like,
you
almost more like a
serious?
stepmaster. Yeah, it was a way to torture prisoners.
Oh gosh.
You know, it makes sense. It really does.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Nicole.
but I
Yeah, I
enjoy
know.
it.
Yeah, Nicole does.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I just like I've wanted to always kind of like build up my heart endurance. What's it called? What's
Yeah.
stamina? Is that what's called?
Cardiovascular strength.
Sick beats. And like I've always done taekwondo, which is very cardio. But because of my schedule, I can't do it as much as I used to. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go start to like run.
Yeah, you're right, though.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
definitely builds up strength in the heart. Like, your blood will actually be able to pump more volume, and your heartbeats will be stronger, and, like, every pump will deliver more blood as your heart grows stronger. Like, your heart can expand, and, yeah, it's all good stuff. But then also, like, your lungs, like, can learn to deliver more oxygen. Your blood vessels will grow
Yeah.
and even grow more vessels to more parts of your muscle.
That's
so that
cool.
oxygen gets to your muscles and all
You
of those
brought in the
fibers.
conversation.
Wow. God's so cool. How he made our
Thanks,
bodies.
Michael. That's
Whoa.
amazing.
Yeah, like it doesn't development like that doesn't stop. Like, let's say when you reach 20 or something like that, you could be, 30 years old, like I almost am, and then still grow new blood vessels. It's crazy.
I can grow blood vessels as the oldest person in the room.
Yep.
Please
Let's
do.
go.
That sounds awesome. Yeah.
God's so fun.
Yes.
What's your resting heart rate?
It's like, I think it's like 50, 60 something.
Okay.
I think that's normal. I don't.
That's normal. Mine's at 43.
Okay, well, I'm not as cool as you.
Michael,
all right.
I don't know. Like when it gets low like that, like it's annoying because it keeps you up at night because it's too strong.
Really?
It's slow and too strong. It's like
Yeah, you get
your
like
whole
a-
body thumps and it's
Yeah.
like I can't sleep.
Oh my
That
god.
happens to me
terrible,
way too
actually.
often.
I don't. Yeah, I've never really paid attention to my heart rate, but like I think the lowest. I mean, I've gotten to 40 something before, so I wear a like a thing monitor now.
Oh, Fitbit.
It's the cheap version. It's not a real one.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
something.
Fitbit is
Fitness
cheap.
band.
But I've had a little bit of some medical things that I've had to actually keep track of,
Sure.
including some heart issues.
Sure.
Freaked out, but it's true. And so I've had to start wearing a heart monitor to kind of like keep track of what's going on with my heart.
Sure.
And there's times I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh, it's 45. Look at that. So it's all over the place right now.
I get it.
Yeah.
Like what's been happening is like when I'm at Taekwondo, my heart will randomly just start racing. It's very weird.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason.
Is it an anxiety kind of feeling?
No, it's like exercise
Oh, like-
induced. Like it's,
Yeah, no. Okay.
and I have to always like stop and get my breath and just like calm it down. So I'm starting to realize it's because I'm not breathing very well during certain things. So I now have to force myself to breathe a lot more.
Yes.
And it helps. It's been helping. But I've had to start wearing this so I know when it's spiking and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
That might be a good segue, but like keeping track of your heart rate is really important for training, and I'd imagine it can transfer over to life if you're actually paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
But like things like stress, for example. So let's just keep it in the context of training. Like if you do a long run or something, like afterwards your heart rate is going to be higher because your body is recovering. But then it's also the same thing, like for just regular, even like mental stress and stuff, like your heart rate will go up, and you have to be careful when that happens. Like you can't expect to be able to do the same workout to the same caliber or level of performance with that additional stress and be able to just have things equal. No, that's added stress, and it's going to show up in your heart rate. Like if your running heart rate is like 160, with that extra stress, you could be reaching 180, getting close to your limits. Like that's why you keep track of your heart rate, and watches can do that, or like a heart strap. So, yep.
Yeah, it's so weird because if you go to the
Not a heart strap, a chest strap, sorry.
specifically
I
in your
was-
body, a heart strap.
No.
Don't do that. It's just it's a very weird thing that's been kind of happening, but it's interesting to watch. It's an interesting thing to see how my heart reacts to certain things, and I've been able to like control it, which is great. Like it hasn't been really serious. It hasn't like super affected me. It's just really obnoxious. I'm like, what the heck?
Yes, no,
But
I get it.
it's okay. Like it's fine. The only other time I have heart issues is when I have anxiety attacks.
Those are the worst.
They're the worst. I actually do have those.
I do too.
Aren't they the worst?
They're
Does
the
it
worst.
just
It's in the
come, or
mind.
do you see it coming?
So we were going to actually talk about mental health today. So everyone deals with like anxiety stuff differently. So what some people may or may not know about me is I am diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder and depressive something. I forgot the second part of it, but it's both of them. And it's interesting because I don't look like that. I don't look like I have this issue. But everyone who is diagnosed with this stuff deals with it differently, and it can come on in different ways. For me, a lot of it has to do with control. And so when things seem like they are out of control or unstable or uncertain, my mind will start to race on the absolute worst things that will ever happen.
Yep.
I'll give you an example. Like, this is fine. I don't mind talking about this. So currently I live at a house, right? And I live at a parish that is going to be closed and sold. Before I met Steve and I knew I was going to be married and like we're going to figure it out, whatever, I didn't make enough to kind of pay for a rent or a mortgage on my own. I just don't. And as a person who deals with anxiety, whatever, that was a massive trigger for me. Like, it was horrible. And so I had to kind of fight through like a ton of mental barriers of like, okay, your brain is going off on this like trajectory of like it's doom and gloom all the time, and I can't stop the pathways in my brain from going there. And it just will manifest into physical reactions, like heart rates, brain fog, like
Nausea.
I will also just like be super tense. Like it will physically affect me. And I've been in therapy for years. I was medicated. I'm not anymore. But it takes time to kind of know how to handle it and what works best for you. Because even with that, every single person with mental health stuff, their strategies work differently for them, for different people. So what works for me is not going to work for Ryan. It's not going to work for Mike.
No, for like an example, I get anxiety in the morning, a lack of sleeping. Sometimes you feel like your body has flight or fight, those types of scenarios.
I usually have freeze. So it's usually fight, flight, or freeze. You kind of go through those three.
Yeah.
You'd think I'd fight, but for some reason, when I have anxiety, I freeze usually. I usually am like if I have an anxiety or panic attack, it's kind of similar for me. I'm usually frozen, and
No,
I'm like,
I would say for the situation on my behalf, for me, what I've noticed is it's OCD related, and it's ADHD and complex. So it's me thinking about what can I do to know if I have an answer, and if I
Yeah.
don't, then I freak out.
yeah, a lot of my stuff has to do with I try to solve everything,
Yeah.
and if I can't solve it, the loop in my brain just keeps going.
Yeah, like I want to know what's on the other end of that conversation in my head, and if I don't figure that out, I get sick to my stomach.
Yeah, and that's when I start having physical body
Same
stuff.
Same. It puts me in a, like I don't even want to get up and walk out the door anymore. I'm done. I feel like I'm sick for the day.
Yeah,
It's bizarre.
It's interesting because some people I also have depression, but my depression is a side effect of anxiety. So when I go through weeks or months of severe anxiety stuff, I will then go into a depressive episode where I turn into a zombie and don't want to deal with people and
I get it. I get
yeah.
it.
Yeah. So I have that and I deal with it.
Yeah.
Yep. I get sick to my stomach. Maybe that's why my
So you get sick.
I get nervousness. So that's why I think my flight or fight is to make myself want to throw up,
Yeah.
and then lose my appetite for the whole day.
Yeah.
And
And
then-
again, you and I react very differently
Yeah.
to anxiety. I don't I don't get sick. It's a very mental game for me.
Sure.
When it's super bad, I actually I get into cleaning fits. I don't know what I feel like I can't sit still, so I'm in my house I don't even know, running around doing 100 things, and usually whoever's there has to okay, sit down
Yup.
and breathe.
Yup.
Because I can't not do stuff.
Yup. Yup. I know what you mean. You're tense. You get that whole I can't stop doing my. So when I'm sleeping in the morning and I wake up, I'm like, I felt like I did not sleep at all.
Yeah.
I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah. By the grace of God, I actually do sleep really well.
Oh, good.
For some reason, my brain will shut off at night and all that anxiety will stop, which
Do you-
is fantastic.
Well, I've been
But
trying.
it happens during the day, the whole day.
I've been taking magnesium recently to kind of calm it down. That does kind of help, but it doesn't make me wake up yet. Well, still adjusting to the vitamin.
Yeah.
But I hate the feeling of waking up
Sluggish?
sluggish and why am I tapping a lot? Why does my feet want to keep moving?
Yeah.
Why do I feel like I just want to not be doing this
And
today?
it's super interesting because you've got mine that has pathways, right? But then there's people, it's I always get anxiety in the morning. Or I always get anxiety at 5:30 p.m.
Mine's in the morning.
Or it's very interesting to see how everyone has their own specifics when it comes to it.
Yeah.
And I think everyone obviously deals with anxiety. It's normal as human beings. And if you deal with this, it doesn't mean you're necessarily diagnosed with a disorder. It's just I am.
It's just realistically you have tendencies.
No, I
No, I'm saying people what I'm
Oh,
saying.
yeah, it's-
that,
we're
people,
human
all,
beings.
all people have and some form of something. In other words, rumination, if anybody knows what that word is. You might just put yourself in a glass box and think too much, and you know that, but you don't know how to handle it. You got to talk it out. There's that. Simply, you just stress out because you have to, and you don't know why, and so you got to get that under control with medication. There's many different ways to look into it.
Yeah, there's definitely a line. I think there's normal anxieties of life. It just okay, I'm getting married.
That's stress.
Do you think there's any anxieties about that?
Not at all.
Oh yeah, right. I know a few people are getting married.
Sure.
We all have anxieties about it because there's every day somebody's throwing something at you that you have to get done, but it doesn't mean that you have an anxiety disorder, right?
No, it just means you have stress overload.
No, it's just, and there's days you're like, oh my gosh, I have to beat this deadline for work. I'm so anxious about it. That's normal.
That's taking
like,
taking an exam.
I
Etc.
have to pay this bill. Oh my gosh.
Goodness gracious.
And then, but there's like a line when like it now becomes something that impacts your life daily, that you have to now make strategies to deal with it daily.
Like why I physically feel I won't want to eat.
You have to then look at that and figure out why.
Nervous system.
Why? How you doing over there, Mike?
It's a different type. Sure, yeah, I get usually for if I was gonna go more along the lines of trauma, but like
That's still good.
with anxiety, I mean, like if I feel like I can't talk about something, and then I'm just by myself all the time and things like, and then I don't know what's going on, and just like you said, glass box, and boom, there's anxiety, whatever. But for me, like I just think trauma's probably the bigger one. There's the childhood thing, which I don't want to go into, but more recently with you guys, there's the example of when I broke or cut half my finger off.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was rough.
And so if I were to just kind of break that down, it's like, well, no pun intended. Yeah, it's like I didn't freak out in the moment at all. Like
You went numb.
Legitimately,
like
yes.
I accidentally bike spoke, like half the finger came off, and my little brother was right there, and I was laughing, like as a hey, you know, and I said, hey Japes, and I just completely kept my cool, and like I can see it's dangling, like there's
Jeez.
hardly anything.
See, now
hanging
this is
there.
where I feel weird. Like that's
And
an
then
anxiety. Yeah.
I tell JP, all right, we're gonna go to the car. You got to take me to the emergency room now. Call Dad really quick, and we'll start moving. Get your keys. Take me there. I didn't even put my shoes on. Still not freaking out. Just kind of like holding what's left of my finger.
Together?
And then even I get to the emergency room, and I just go right up to the counter. I'm like, I need some help. Like they didn't even know I was there for me. And then I went, and they were like, and then they were really surprised how I was keeping my cool, and I was laughing with them, and like they couldn't believe that my finger wasn't there. And that's still kind of why I think those doctors were so dumb, is because like they did absolutely nothing. Like in my mind, like what was going through my mind was what I had learned in my health, like as a 6th grader, was like, okay, you got to put it on some ice. And my problem with the whole situation was like they weren't taking care of me on the spot, and they weren't communicating what needed to be done or why it needed to be done. They said, just hold your finger, put it there. And I was like, don't you need to put it on ice? And they didn't tell me why I didn't need to. I was like, I still want my finger.
Yeah.
And then 2 hours later, I'm still in Olean General, in Olean, and it just, they're going through paperwork and taking their pretty time. I'm like, something needs to happen or I'm not going to have my finger really soon.
Yeah.
And then what ended up needing to happen was I needed to go to ECMC here in Buffalo.
Oh.
And no ambulance, like I might as well drive myself. So I waited for Dad to come because they were in Jamestown, so they had to drive over. And then we drove over to ECMC. And so like I'm just thinking, in my mind, I thought so much time was going by that I was going to lose my finger.
Yeah.
And that ride there, I was just kind of like internally freaking out. So
that's when it hit you.
That's when it hit me. But like it was similar like when I had to go to the next waiting room for the next emergency room in ECMC. And that doctor didn't actually know what was going on. And part of the weird part is like there was like months later, I get this bill from Olean General for like over $1,000.
You weren't even there.
And what goes through my mind is like they didn't do anything for me. They made me wait 2 hours for nothing.
Yeah.
And then so that was weird. And then but then there was the whole thing. Like I watched the surgery get done on my finger. It was the weirdest thing. It felt like the Civil War.
Why?
I watched my ligament kind of get like strung like a fishing line, like on a hook. I'm sorry, Nicole. And so, but I kept my cool. Point being.
That's good.
But
Proud of you.
Okay, I'm gonna try to round this out.
You're okay.
Is this PG or PG-13? What
I
is
don't know,
this
man. You
podcast?
said, I don't know. We're going to keep going.
Oh, do we put it in our description?
We talk about ligaments in this one.
Yeah, but then that whole scenario came about because the manager at the time was pushing me way too hard, and I was just working really, really hard. And so even on my day off, which is when it happened on my day off, like I just woke up from a nap, but I was still not with it.
Yeah.
And that's when the accident happened. And so it's just, the whole thing wasn't fair. Yeah, so that's why, like, more recently, when I've been working for 7 days a week for the past month. And so, like, that freaks me out a
So you
lot.
don't want an accident to happen again.
Like, I'm terrified of an accident happening. And I just kind of have a better sense of, like, fatigue, but I still don't have a complete handle on it because, like, even when I ride my bike out there, even on a good day, an accident can happen. But, like, if you're a little tired, which happens a lot, because training is important to me, but, like, I'm still out there and it's dangerous, it's like that's all it takes, one small mistake or one stupid driver, you know?
Yeah, because it could not even necessarily be you. It could be somebody else.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, I've had so many close calls that weren't my fault at all. Or people will honk their horn and they don't realize that the horn is a lot louder when you're not in a vehicle.
Yes.
Like, when you're outside the vehicle, just as a biker or a walker, like, that will scare living daylights out of you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And then if you're scared, you could act like it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put it this way. We get the stigma for millennial generation that mental health days are not necessary.
Yeah.
Meaning it's okay to say, Michael, you need an extra
Take a
day if
day
you're true.
off.
Like, you need a day off. Like, yes, work hard. Yes, make the money. Yes, make sure you have vacation days, PTO, etc. But they don't think about that as much as they used to.
Yeah, there's definitely, like, and it's interesting you bring up this, like, we forget that, even God wired our brains. Like, he knows how our brains are wired. And they are wired a certain way. Like, I think for a really long time, humanity was taught, like, don't deal with these things. Like, okay, you have to suck it up, be tough, like, you're fine. But we're realizing now, more and more in society now, that, like, mental health is part of the physical well-being of a person, spiritual well-being of a person, emotional, and then there's mental. Like, there are, like, 4 main pillars to a person, like the person, physical person.
Yeah.
And God made all these pillars. Like, he obviously physically made our bodies. Like, we talk about our heart rates and stuff like that with training and how we react to stress and stuff. He made that, emotional. I years of therapy, I've worked on emotional recognition. Because that's also part of us. We're emotional beings. God didn't make us robots that like have no emotion about anything.
Yeah, no, that would not be great.
Obviously, as faithful people, we have, like, spiritual needs that need to be met and mental needs that need to be met. Like, our brain is one of the biggest organs of our body that is really unknown to science. There's, like, whole portions of it that
Complex, yeah.
science still doesn't understand.
I see neurologists.
There's neurologists, but there's whole portions of it that science still doesn't have figured out. And I think for a long time, humanity was just, like, taught, like, don't look at your mental health. I mean, I will say it's more, like, out there.
Yes.
Because even when we were, like, younger, high schoolers, middle schoolers, so we're basically all, like, 30 at this point.
Yeah.
I know y'all aren't 30 yet, but you're getting there.
Y'all, I'm in 30
I'm
in
less than
October.
20 days away.
You're
Yeah.
going to be part of the 30 club. Woot woot.
Yeah.
That's a benchmark. I'm not sure if I even want to go there.
It's gonna, listen,
Do I have a choice?
You don't have a choice.
You don't really know.
And I will say, being 31, 30s has been pretty good. It's been pretty good. It's a lot, like, I feel like the 20s is a lot of, like, finding yourself.
Oh,
and, like,
for sure.
kind of just, like, figuring out how you function and how you think and how your brain works and everything.
100%.
And it's even, like, establishing your relationship with God a little bit, like, in your 20s. I will say 30s, I definitely feel very like established in myself. Like I know who I am. I know who I am to God. Like I know whatever. And so I don't really have to find myself in my 30s. I've like figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit more settled, not too super settled in life. Just like
No.
maybe like one notch. That's just me, but one notch.
Yep.
I don't know. 30s is good. Don't be scared, guys. You're
No,
gonna be.
I've never been
fine.
scared.
There's gonna be all right. It's okay.
Very, very good.
But when we were younger, I don't think mental health was like super discussed.
It never was. It never should. What bothers me
What bothers you, Ryan?
in anything, watching a movie, sitting reading a book, trying to pray, if you can't focus, that's important to realize and kind of not neglect.
Yeah.
Like I can't just sit. Sometimes people just can't sit still. It's literally a thing. Like how do I sit and pray?
Yeah.
I can't sit still.
Yeah.
You got to get that under control as well. It's not just God is important and He will take care of you. But if you physically just can't sit still,
Yeah.
that's seriously not okay.
I think, you make up a good point, and it's a mistake that a lot of Catholics and Christians make of like, God is here. God is always here, and He knows who we are. He knows our faults. He knows our struggles. He knows how He knew when He made me that I was going to be diagnosed with anxiety. Like, He knew that. And there's a time in my life where I was like, God, I'm mad. Like, why do I have this? This is ridiculous. Like, can you just heal it and get rid of it? But, and we have to rely on God. We have to rely on Him. But there's a time when God has created resources for us to use as faithful people.
Yes.
And you have to rely on God, but you have to also use the resources He has for us.
Yes.
So I think there is a stigma out there in the Catholic world, Christian world, that if you don't fully rely on God, I mean, obviously you fully rely, but if you don't just put everything on Him and you rely on something like a therapist or medication, then you're not actually fully relying on God or fully Christian.
No, but I would say that being said, if you prayed about it and it felt like the prayers were being answered correctly, then you're doing probably the right thing. I would imagine.
But I think people are not even willing to take this step into caring.
Yeah, no, some people are not.
Because they think it's against God.
No, some people are not, and it's totally true.
I think it's a mistake. I really
but
do.
then there's those folks that don't solely rely on God at all.
Well, yeah,
That we don't have to extend.
that's a whole other conversation.
In other words, they just believe that their mental health is their problems, and they got to deal with them. And people are like anarchists. People are the only way to help.
I think there's a happy medium. I know for me, I have gotten through a lot of my mental health struggles because of God.
Oh, for sure.
Because I've had to rely on Him to get through some of these difficult things. But I've also had to realize, no, I have to go to a therapist. I have to be medicated, and that's okay. Like, it's fine. It doesn't make me any less of a Christian.
Nope.
I don't know.
It's a
What do
real
y'all think
important
about
way to look
that?
at it, because sometimes you physically can't sit with your own self, literally, because of your mind, body, and spirit. And like you physically can't sit with yourself. And that's not, and God's like, well, I'm still I'm still here. You can still pray to me. It's just that you can't focus on me in the instances that you have problems that you got to get resolved. So like you said, all the resources that you can reach for are going to be healthy. They should be healthy if you're looking in the right places for yourself.
Yeah.
Specifically
sure.
for us, we find Christian therapists and other things
Yeah,
like
my
that.
therapist is Catholic. She's sick. In a good way.
Oh, I was going to say, she doesn't have flu.
No, she doesn't have the flu. She's
Did
good.
you contract what she's sick in? I'm kidding.
She doesn't have the flu. She's fine.
Good.
No, but I really appreciate it. And not everyone can afford a Catholic, therapist or something like that. But I will say, for me, it's been very helpful.
Sure.
I've never doubted that having God involved is the most important part.
Oh yeah, you have to.
So I have I segue, but it's very similar. So I just don't know how to say it without just giving some context and stuff too. Life update, but it's more has a happy ending and stuff. So so I've been working for CCBN, Catholic Community of Buffalo North, and so tagging along with my full-time, a part-time. So helping Father Joe out and doing music there. And since November, I've been able to kind of plug in. They had lost a previous music minister and just found a better gig, I guess, but very abruptly. And so I was able to just slip in. Honestly, the timing was perfect.
Holy Spirit.
So honestly,
Oh,
yeah,
seriously?
yeah, for real. because it's, yeah, anyway. Anyway, I was able to slip in, plug in, and then, yeah, I had just been kind of far removed from, I guess, working. I hadn't worked for the Catholic Church for maybe 2 years. And so, like, there were some things that were new to me. So, like, all the closure processes. And I know we've been talking about this the whole time in UTM, but, like, I'd been out of the loop. So, you know, when you're a staff member, things are communicated. You start to kind of understand how things run, why they run the way they do. And so I was kind of thrown into something that everyone already knew what was going on, but I didn't. It was kind of terrible.
You were removed from it.
I was removed from it, and then I had nothing but goodwill and no knowledge. And then, so I kind of freaked out when things started getting announced, and then things started getting like overturned, and things were just kind of business as usual, things like that. Anyway, it's like there's a whole lingo and vocabulary that I just wasn't familiar with. Like, I studied canon law, like literally as a master's degree, but like, I don't know all of canon law. I never read those sections. Like, I don't even know what's going on, you know? The ones I was more familiar with, like when I was looking at canon law, I was looking at like, okay, if you're going to start a religious order, like, how would you do it?
Oh, yeah,
you know?
not closing things.
Yeah, exactly. So very
can a
much
lay
the opposite.
individual do
Like,
what they
that's
do?
the only thing I looked at. Like, yeah. Anyway, that's a whole different story. We won't go there. Yeah, I was just thinking with the Marian Franciscans, like the coffee
Yep,
trailer.
that's
and all
it.
that.
That's
Yeah,
different.
that
That's
would take
sad.
forever. But yeah. Anyway, so I found myself in a situation where all of a sudden I thought I would need to pick up some extra work at my normal full time, and so I started 6 days there, and then I thought, you know, that'll make up for like everything, I guess, the other one starting to get cut short if a church closes down. So I found myself in a position where I was working 7 days a week. So anyway, I freaked out.
Oh,
Communication was
lot.
poor. And then, yeah, so I just, like we talked about before, like with overworking and stuff, I freaked out, and so I was like, I know where my limits are, like, I can't do this. But like, at the same time, you know, it's possible to move through it if you do it intentionally and carefully too. But like, going back to, and this is where I'm gonna round it out too, but like sometimes like when you find yourselves in situations where like either overstressed or like if you're dealing with anxiety and stuff, you're afraid, like you just got to reach out to someone, you know, because sometimes in those situations, like isolation can be the worst thing because you think you have to be all alone. And so to have someone that you trust, you know, a good friend or something, and you know, and hopefully they can take it, you know, because it can be a mess. And so for me, like, I'm really grateful because I was gonna leave, but then I decided to stay, and I'm really grateful to you know, for me, that friend at the time was you know, Annabella, and is able to just reach out and just get a good friendly ear, and sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah.
And that can just make all the difference. And so just to be able to turn to someone and say like, hey, I'm not judging, you know, makes a really, really big difference. So I'm going to be working there, and I'm only working 6 days a week starting April, so everything is good now. But like,
Which is this month.
Yeah. So I had my first day off this past Wednesday for over 35 days, something
Whoa.
like that.
Yeah.
So it
So I
was
was
a long
like,
stretch.
I was like asking the other day, like, where did Michael go? He just hung out at home. I'm like, I didn't realize.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like sometimes fatigue can carry over for a long time, and it just takes a little more than a day.
Yeah.
So I'm still not there yet.
It happens. I definitely, like, stress definitely fatigues our minds.
Oh,
That's the
it
thing. When you're
absolutely
under a
does.
lot of stress. I remember, like, this last year when my grandfather passed away.
Right.
It was in December, and it was right before middle school mayhem.
Oh gosh.
It was the same, like, weekend. It was the weekend before.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, it's my grandfather, but still, it's loss. Grief is a thing. That's part of mental health.
It's
is grieving
important to
when it
grieve.
happens. I had, like, that happened. I had to work, plan funeral stuff, run a lock-in. I also got engaged, and
During that, yes.
and then had the funeral. So, like, all of that affected my mental health.
Yeah,
and
oh, yeah.
like fatigue lasted for a while. And all that stress, just like I just got tired. I ended up taking, so obviously for where I work, if you lose someone in your family, you get bereavement time.
Yeah.
So I got bereavement time. But then I had like a ton of vacation time, like a ton.
So you took a lot of
And
it.
also how like the time off worked this year.
Uh-huh.
I had a ton of vacation time, didn't have to use all of it. And I had a bunch of like holiday pay because we had like Christmas Eve, it was just like all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I took like 2 weeks off and it was beautiful. And I got to like recharge and relax and like go pray in the church that's right next to where I live and just be like, all right, Jesus, I got a lot up here. I need you to just take it out of my brain, please.
It's super important to do that.
And it was like helpful. Like rest was really helpful to getting back from all that.
Oh, man.
That sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
That reminds me. So, like, let's say after the day I broke my finger and got it repaired and stuff, there was like a week and a half where I couldn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, at the time, I didn't know how long that period was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But for a while, I thought I wouldn't be able to return to work I didn't even know if at all. I didn't know if
Yeah.
I'd be able to play the piano again, play the guitar again. And I remember and here I was also with the mortgage over my head in this place and
Mm-hmm.
payments, like significant payments. And there was a week and a half into it, a day where I walked out the door and I was really scared because I didn't know where I was going.
Yeah.
And all I could think, okay, anyway, I found myself in an adoration chapel. We'll keep it positive because that's exactly what happened. And like, I just think to myself, I'm so grateful for all of the healthy habits that I'd formed in my life up to that point. Because then it was an automatic reaction to that's where I would go.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I don't know. Yeah, it could
No,
have been
it's
bad.
a good point because I think we're talking about mental health, but it's also like you have to have the faith as part of it. I don't understand how people can get through life because life is not easy. Like stuff happens to all of us, whether you are a Christian or not a Christian. Like stuff is going to happen. It's just we live in a fallen world and that's what happens.
Exactly.
I don't personally know how people can get through difficult things of the realities of life without having God at the center.
I would say that's totally true. And I would say how I would explain that would be eventually you get to a void of emptiness. And that's got to be something there's something that you obviously can feel mentally as tangible. What ultimately is that? That is God.
Yeah.
Because there's that blankness that you
The
eventually,
hole.
that you'll eventually hit. And people are like, well, I'll just go talk to my therapist. They're not going to do anything for you. Then theoretically, in that moment, they can't do anything.
They can help you.
They can help you, but in that instance, when you start feeling the hole, what are you going to do about it? They can just tell you to be positive.
Yeah. Because, I mean, as humans, we're always trying to, like, fill ourselves up with things, right? And when we go through difficult things, we deal with what happened to you, Mike, or my anxiety, your anxiety, right? Like, difficult stuff that we just deal with. You can either fill it with things that are, like, fleeting, right?
Like a movie.
A movie, being addicted to something, or, like, you can fill it with other people, or right?
Or you can feed the flame and just keep drinking coffee and keep getting more and more caffeine, and then you really get the jitters, and then you're really gonna.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you really go out of your
You can
mind.
be feeling real weird. And you can rely on like human things to fill that hole, but you will never fully satisfy it. Never. Even
ever.
when you're going through a mental health journey, like at a certain point you have to have that hole filled and a sturdy foundation to build yourself up and keep going. And I've lived the life when I didn't have Christ at the center of my life. Like there was a time before I came to Jesus again and went back to the church and all that, where I was that person who filled that hole with other things.
Yeah.
And that was not fulfilling
It definitely probably was.
at all. And at that point I wasn't diagnosed with anything, but my mental health was garbage back then.
No, I got
But then once I had Jesus, I was able to be like, here's the foundation. I need to work on my brain. There's something going on up here.
No, I get it. And you've probably felt that void kind of shed, like a layer, like onions.
Like onions.
Yeah, like it just like shedded slightly, surely, but
Well, no, the hole got full, and I was
Yeah.
a whole person that could heal the wounds and trauma of
yeah,
her
you
past.
could feel where you were like cracking away at the marble. Yep.
I think that's probably where I need to learn to make a distinction more personally is like, okay, something I'm dealing with is trauma related. Okay, this needs maybe something, I don't know. I just need to treat this intentionally. And sometimes I think the difficulty is sometimes you don't even recognize that.
Yeah.
I know that's probably how it is for me. So
It took me a long time to recognize my patterns, because I've had a lot of trauma in my past and a lot of things just happen in my life. And recognizing I react to certain things because of the patterns of my past, and like actually slowing down and being like, okay, this is just a reaction to how your brain has been wired, and giving yourself permission to understand that, pray about it, use the strategies you've been given, and this is just with like the therapies and stuff that I've gotten, and like recognize it's okay. Like this is the moment that's happening. Deal with, like, it's okay to deal with. You don't have to hide it. Like you don't have to like shove it away.
Yeah.
You know, like okay, face it. You got God with you right here. He's gonna help you. You got your strategies. Okay, it's happening. It's happened. You're good. Like
Yeah.
the more you push it down, the longer it lingers, and the worse it affects you.
Michael, when we were watching that comedian yesterday, he just presses it to my feet. He talks about how he gets into arguments with his wife. He's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
He's like, she's like super spiritual,
Oh.
and super kind. Me, I just yell about everything because of my way I was brought up with my dad. He always goes, I feel like I'm suppressing it in my freaking feet.
Yeah, but actually that, it was a comedian, but that's actually
Yeah.
a true point. Like the more you suppress it, the more it will try to come out.
He'll go outside, he said, and she's like, I got into a car accident. It's just a graze. He goes outside, he goes, the whole door needs to be replaced. Am I supposed to just not yell about this?
Yeah, it's a balancing act, but it's also like the more we store this stuff back, and it's the same thing. Like if you don't bring these issues
Yeah.
in prayer to God,
Yeah.
that will also fester. That
Fester.
will also just sit there and linger and cause issues. Oh my goodness, I had things that was like festering in my brain for literally 15 years, team. And I'm still now just going to therapy and
the best
talking
example
about it.
that
Like,
my only good example I've seen through it all is during the COVID scenarios with your shoulder.
oh.
That's the one that I got to know personally from you in your story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good time.
That
But I'm
was-
sorry to bring that up because
It's-
we've gotten past that, and I just realized that now.
Yeah, that was one notch in the Nicole's
Yeah.
stuff she's been through.
No, but okay, let's back it up and say, if there is a mental problem that needs to be brought up to someone else,
Like a professional or a friend?
a friend, a professional, a family member, a problem with an individual. Now, we were talking about this while eating our lunch.
Yeah.
Or our dinner. How does one approach that in the Christian realm? Do we,
Well, I think as the person who's being approached, is that what you're asking?
yeah, like when we're in a situation where there needs to be combated arguments for your own mental well-being, and even for their mental well-being. Let's say how do we approach this?
Well, I think there's a couple of things here. So if obviously somebody approaches you, say like, okay, I didn't know Ryan. I don't know you. Well, no, maybe we're friends, but like,
Yeah, subjectively, you think I'm mean.
no, maybe you have some mental health stuff going on, and you were like, Nicole, I really need, like, can we talk about this? Which
Sure.
we've talked about. As a good Christian person, I'm not going to be like, no, you have to pray to God. Like, we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to get you the help you need.
Yes.
Like, that's actually a very Christian thing to do, is to get the resources to people that they
Yes.
need.
Yes.
That's needed, because as
Yeah.
a person who deals with it, there's been times where my friends have been like, Nicole, you need to talk to someone because you're in the middle of one of your like issues.
Episodes or whatever.
And I'm like, all right, thanks for letting me know. And in that moment, it's like super helpful because
Yeah.
sometimes, like Mike was saying, you can't even recognize when you're like personally going through it. You need a friend to tell you,
Yeah.
you need help. Like,
No.
and as Christians, we're supposed to help
Yeah.
each other in that way.
Now, I'm thinking about, like, let's say commandments of, like, prudence and virtues and that way, I'm thinking to myself, do we tell someone? Like sometimes I get into arguments with my parents or close friends
About their mental health?
about just things that bother me. And
Well, I think you have to be careful.
like my own mental health feels triggered based off of, let's say, stress and anxiety. And there's a conversation to be had with someone else.
Yeah, I think you have to really, you have to know where you are in your state of mind. If you're not in a good state of mind to have those conversations, then you can't. And that's okay to recognize that. That's okay to be like, right now my mental health can't handle this. God, give me the grace to just forgive in this moment.
Yeah.
And just, we're going to work on this and we're going to figure this out.
Because what if the stress and anxiety comes from that individual? Sometimes you want to talk it out with them. There's got to be a lot of prudence in prayer.
It is a lot of prudence in prayer. You have to figure out where you are, and you also have to figure out where the other person is. Like, actually, this comes up a lot in youth ministry. How do I talk to someone about some moral topic, right?
Right.
Someone comes up to me and is like, I want to talk to you about same-sex marriage.
Oof, yeah.
Right? If I don't know this person, this happens in youth ministry, especially with kids, with the high schoolers and stuff, right? Confirmation kids. Literally today, I was playing for confirmation kids.
Yeah.
It was like watching paint dry, guys.
I
Oh my gosh,
imagine
it was
would be.
painful.
It's just structured, isn't it?
Right? If you don't know, one, why are they approaching you? Like why are they asking you this?
Okay.
Like, you don't know them, and you just start like throwing truth at them and with no context or care about them as a person.
Yep.
They're not going to be open. They're actually going to probably come at you really
Or
hardly
they're gonna
and
just
start
shut down.
they're going to shut down. They're going to come at you really hard, whatever. Okay, someone in your life is a big trigger for your mental health stress issues. You probably know this person. That's usually how this works. You have to like go into these conversations knowing how they're feeling this day, what is their background, why are they acting this way, and like all that goes into it before you really like approach them. And also praying, like, Holy Spirit, just tell me the time I'm supposed to do this. You can't come in like, all right, we're getting coffee, sit down, I'm gonna scold you for all this stuff.
Or we're going to talk about this right here, right now.
Like, you got to be aware of the circumstances, and is it really the time?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Because it's also that will protect you, like, as the person.
Yeah. Well, now that we're turning 30, or you're 31, I'm turning 30.
Hey, I'm already in my 30s.
Well, now that we're turning 30.
I'm fabulous.
I'm the only one going in the other direction. I'm going to be 28 soon.
You're going to be 28?
And
That's
then
solid.
solid.
Dude,
That's
I know.
wild.
Well, basically, the point I'm rounding it out as to think is like, we're adults now. How do we mature in that we're adults now? So we have to make these decisions that other people in life decisions may not like.
Yeah, and that's normal. Like, I'm 31 years old getting married. Like, I have to make decisions based on my new life. Like, it happens. And, yeah I don't know.
It's always important. Well, now I'm thinking about it more like not to judge anyone, but like with our parents, let's say, not leave it at that, Sometimes it's like, well, they parented me. Now it's time to let go, and I got to make decisions. But I feel like you got to make the anxiety's got to wear down, personally.
I don't know. It's a tricky game.
That's for me, at least, a tricky game.
It's tricky.
It's tricky.
Trick. Mental health. It's important, people.
Hashtag trick. Hashtag euchre.
Is that a game? Euchre's a game,
Yeah,
isn't it?
with a trick, and it's called doing a trump card.
I don't know.
It's fun.
I know euchre's a board game, isn't it?
Euchre's a card game.
Card game. I thought it was a board game. It's a card game.
It's fun.
But listen, moral of the story, people, don't be afraid to take care of your brain. God made your brain. Keep God at the center, but if you need help with your brain, go get the help you need.
And honestly, it's hard to then focus and doing the right thing.
If your brain's not all there.
Yes.
If it's not firing off on the right
cylinders. I won't sit still. That's the worst.
It's all right.
Yeah.
My brain
sometimes you just got to run 20 miles,
Or kick things.
Well, that is a thing that people do say if you have a trigger, just run. Some people do say that. Just run.
Well, I mean, it's okay to have healthy coping mechanisms.
Yes.
Like, for me, exercise is super helpful. If I have a day where I'm super anxiety, you know what's really good for me? a nice lifting day. Going to deadlift some cows, it's fantastic. Or kicking things and going to Taekwondo, love it. It's great.
Yeah, I think from like a physical perspective, it's like let's say if you're dealing with something like anxiety and then you go and do something like lift, it's from like, then your body's like, okay, I'm like, this is hard. I've had enough of the anxiety now. Let's just stop.
Like,
You
I'm
know?
done. I'm done with this.
I'm done.
But you really got to put God, like, I think a lot of people shy away talking to God about this stuff. Like, God made our brains. Like, it doesn't mean that you're like a weak person that is like failing on your reliance of God when your brain short circuits.
No, actually, I think it means
I
we're
think
even.
that's more of a you thing because
Yeah.
what's more important for me is like just to make time. Like let's say, okay, I'm gonna go do a holy hour, make a plan, maybe not just once, but like over a couple days, and be like, nothing matters here except for the fact that I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just as simple as that.
Yeah.
you
Which
know?
is good. No, I've heard it from other people that because they have a mental illness or their mental state is not great, that they're a failure to God.
Well, I like to say that you're less of a failure because you're recognizing it in the context of God knows you better than you know yourself. And so he's almost probably, God's probably sitting there going, ah, yay.
Yeah, and when
you're
you hit-
realizing it.
You hit that point and you go to Him. It's really good. It's actually really
almost
good.
like that thing about the melting snowman soup commercial for
Campbell's.
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 The way it just melts, it melts off your system.
It melts it all away.
Yes.
This is more like an objective perspective, but like we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and like the body is like so complex, all of the different systems. And I talk about this with my little brother all the time. He's studying biology, and we'll talk about it sometimes. It's like, it's amazing how much needs to go right in order for you to be like, have a normal day. You know?
Yeah.
Like literally zero needs to go wrong. So many things need to be balanced or whatever, but like, but then you tag onto that, like whatever life throws at you, like that throws things off balance. And like, we don't live in a perfect world. So it just makes sense from that, you know, something's going to give, something will have to compensate, or something will need to adjust. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Normal. You have to take care of all four pillars of humanity, of
Yep.
yourself.
And who helps
And-
with that? Her name is Mary.
Woo. Yep. You got to take care of your mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional health, people,
Heck yeah, we do.
because we are a human being that God made. Boom skillet.
Boom skillet. All right, from a UTM perspective,
Yes.
maybe starting to close it out, but like we're still working on the album. Still doing the sheet music and doing score, so all that prep is still in the
Good job,
initial
Mike.
stages. Yeah, that's my problem. I pile things on, and then actually I'm very productive when I'm tired.
It's
Does
kinda-
that mean you're
it's-
going to write all the lead sheet music like now because you're so tired?
It's weird. It's true though.
It'll happen soon.
That's
And
interesting.
then, what is it? What was I going to say? Oh, now that I'm staying at CCBN, my next step is I really want to ask Father Joe if he'd ever be down for like a holy hour, you know? Because I know he loves holy hours.
does.
And if he doesn't care where it is or how many people show up, like, hey, that could be great.
Yeah.
So,
And we're playing for Elevate Tuesday.
yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Yep.
That should be real fun.
Yay!
Get our first like real audience.
Young adult ministry. Let's go.
Heck yeah, man.
So we got a lot of things on the plate. On the plate? On our plate? Is that what it is? On our plate?
On
On the plate. On a plate.
the patent.
All the plates.
On whatever.
I got some nice plates for my registry. All right, focusing.
China? Is it from China?
They're not from China. They're green. They're cool. All right, let's say our Hail Holy Queen because it's music time.
Oh, yeah.
In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Hail,
Holy
Holy
Queen,
Queen,
Mother
Mother
of
of
mercy,
mercy,
our life, our sweetness, and our hope. To thee do we cry, poor banished children of Eve. To thee do we send up our sighs,
mourning and weeping in this valley of tears.
Turn then, most gracious advocate, thine eyes of mercy toward us, and after this our exile, show unto us the blessed fruit of thy womb, Jesus. O clement, O loving, O sweet Virgin Mary,
Pray for us, O Holy Mother of God,
that we may be made worthy of the promises of Christ.
Amen.
Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen.
Amen.
All right, y'all. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.